So let's look at this theme, evolution or creation. I got this theme when I was looking into an old book. I think it was written in 1960s by some evangelist on why evolution is not real, and how in United States, I think in somewhere in 1960, there was some court case going on in Kansas City Court or whatever, where a lot of people have asked for the evolution theory to be removed from the government institutions because it is misleading. So eventually, later I think, I don't know how many years it took, but it was removed. That case was removed, and evolution continued to be there. The court said we can't, stop whatever the scientists say because they have proof for that. So, but then it really looking at, I wanted to look at all these things because this is a typical struggle between science and religion when things start heating up. So evolution was not accepted by most of the Christian firms. Even now, a lot of them, I heard even now, at least 40% of Americans believe that evolution is wrong and creation is the truth. So we will look into this aspect a little bit deeper in this talk. It's in the Ascent Forum, we are actually looking at different aspects of science and spirituality and try to find out how much of what is truth and how do we get to the real truth. So this I thought is a good point to just discuss. So let's go ahead. Anyway, I have not heard from Prabhuji, so Guruji
has joined. Guruji has joined.
He's busy. But let's go ahead.
Hari Om Sravan, Hari Om.
Prabhuji has come. Okay.
Yeah, everybody.
Hari Om, Prabhuji.
Hari Om, everybody. Hari Om Sravan.
So we can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Not able to hear you?
Can't hear.
You can hear. Shravanji, I think you have muted your device. When we speak, you are not able to hear.
Hello, Shravan, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah, Shravan, you have to check your input.
Oh, I don't know if everybody is muted. Let me just see.
No. We are able to hear. You are not able to hear. Light there. I'm light. Light. Okay. Has it down? Okay. Yes. I don't hear it.
This one mentioned.
Oh. Sound, you have to unmute. Unmute. Not able to hear you.
I can, I don't know.
Yeah. Now it's okay.
Let me see if I need to rejoin.
No, it's okay.
Without hearing you, I can't.
Guruji, Shravanji is not able to hear any of us.
Oh, okay.
My listening outside.
Okay. Thank you.
Says how many blessings?
Hari Om. Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear
I
us,
can't
Shravan
hear
ji?
you. I still can't hear you. I don't know what's the issue.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you. Shravan, can you hear? We can hear you.
Can you chat what I should do? I don't know. I can't hear.
I think you have to go to ENT
although I
doctor.
can see that you're all talking.
Shravan Kumar, you have to go to ENT doctor.
Yeah, just call me Prabhuji.
Hari Om Shravanji, Hari Om Prabhuji.
We can hear you. We can hear Shravan. Shravan cannot hear.
Yeah, I
us.
know you can hear me, but I'm not able to hear your voices. So maybe my
Go to ENT doctor.
Vasuji can help him.
media. Yeah. Yeah. Now I can hear you. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Right. Sorry for that. So let's let me start the program. I'm sorry, a little bit. Okay. So Pranav, you can find can you talk something so that I know whether my speak.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Thanks.
Okay.
Great. So anyways, as I said, evolution or creation, this was a theme that I have got in one of the books, and then I thought this is a very interesting thing. Because as you all know, science says that whatever creation we think we see is actually from a Big Bang. But eventually, Darwin was the first person who said human evolution or the creation actually evolved to the state that it is. And even the Big Bang, there's a series of things that have happened, and somewhere along atoms were formed, somewhere along the quarks and atoms, and finally all the suns and moons and the earth and all this life, everything happened in a very gradual way. And today, the modern evolutionists say that everything is actually an evolution. Okay. So when in this theory, a human is also a result of evolution. And what is this evolution? Let's look at it. Essentially, what a part of all this is that consciousness, which humans who have consciousness, everything has come from this matter, and it is this material evolution that is responsible for everything. So let's now look at what is the issues in this kind of thing. So Charles Darwin was the first person who had clearly talked about how this evolution, he's not the first person who talked about evolution, but what is the probable methodology in which this evolution has occurred. He actually said everything, it has come from, it's a descent from an ancestors. That means there is some earlier form, and that form kept on adopting, and there is a descent of that. And therefore, whatever you see today is coming from something which was similar before, but it evolved to this. So the creation was something is a kind of gradual evolution rather than a one-time creation. And it is a very natural process. So there are two principles that Charles Darwin had talked about. One is that as species evolved, they selected the best genes in them in order, and the best ones, the fittest of them survived, and they took the qualities which were inherent, whatever they've inherited, whatever they have got, the best ones they selected, and whatever is not best, it was left. So these are the principles in natural selection. Sometimes the best is not there, but eventually it fell down. And so what evolved is the species. It need not necessarily be an individual but it's the species as such that have evolved. So this is the idea of evolution. Of course, what Darwin had talked about is only about the species which have life. And so, but later, the modern evolution today talks about everything, that evolution both in a microscopic manner and macroscopic manner. So in macroscopic manner, it is a scale that we can see, and microscopic manner is something which is at the very fundamental. For example, it's internal, and macroscope is what we see externally. Because of external factors, there was evolutionary changes. So this is what is the Darwinian evolution. But what is the cause for this evolution? How did it happen? So that's one of the things that evolved over a lot of time. There was a lot of discussion on this, and what happened was originally Darwin studied. In fact, it seems he had gone to a small set of islands, Golgop Islands or something, to study various species and try to understand how they have come in, what are their previous things. There was also a lot of fossil studies that have already been happening before that. So based on all that he had looked at, he said that basically natural selection is the most important thing. And but later they found that not only this selection is not only at a gross level, but it's also within the organism. There was fundamental genes which are mutating, and therefore there's some genetic shift happening, and this fundamental genetic shift is responsible for an organism slowly changing as we go ahead, and with time, over many cycles, organisms developed. So from the smallest organism, one cell organism, to multiple organisms, multiple kingdoms, the plant kingdoms to the animal kingdom, the smallest thing to the largest thing, the complexity went on growing. So if that is true, the argument is that whatever we are seeing today is, in fact, it's a kind of experimentally, the nature is experimenting with itself and trying to find out the best things. And then when it has come up to a thing where something can sustain over a period of time, whatever is the best continued. Of course, there are also other things that when geographically these animals moved, then there was some immigration effect. So the immigrants liked something, had some difficulties with the environment, could win some places. So there's what do you call the first immigrants' choices, or the founder effect, they say, also affected. but not one single cause can be told or how the evolution happens. They are all working with each other synergistically, and all this that today we could say these are the causes. And of course all the evidences are collected over so many years. Today we have not only just the biological distribution and their study based on how their appearance is, but also the fossil records. And in order to determine which one came earlier, carbon dating is used. Carbon dating is, they find out the carbon isotope C14, how much it is there in the original carbon, which is C12. And based on that, they find out what is the time in which this particular thing decayed, what time it could probably be formed. So also they also looked at how the embryonic development happened. So, and later, of course, when that book was written, this molecular biology wasn't there, but later we saw that the evidence for the evolution theory was strongest in the way genes, the DNA studies have shown that they're very strongly supporting whatever the evolution that the scientists have agreed with. So it is a scientific fact agreed now that whatever we see today, there is an evolution, at least on the earth, of all the species. But we have a fundamental problem. The problem is that all religions always talked about God, and creation is a work of God. And of course, I think it not only in Christianity, but I'll take the Christian narration here a little more, because most of the scientific communities started looking at, had pressure from the Christian organizations. So in the book of Genesis, all of us know that God created this whole world from the word. So initially there's only a word, and from the word he said, let there be light, and so everything came up. But there is a sequence also which people studied in that Bible, and which is very interesting, that the entire creation took 6 days. Now, what are these days? There's a lot of debate, but the way the sequence has been narrated, it is more or less same in many religions. So light and darkness was first created, then the firmament and the earth, which means the sky and the earth, came in the 2nd and 3rd day. And earth here can be just with grass and plants, or the basic material, as we can see later. But then the sun and the moon and the planets and development happened later, and all the moving creatures, what we normally talk about evolution of life had happened, and the last day, the final evolution, what we call man and woman, have happened. And very significantly, they say God took rest on the 7th day. And somehow some people have interpreted these days as God's days, and they said 7th day has not ended, whereas there is a clear distinction of the 6 days, morning and evening, something happened, and on the 7th day God have just taken rest, which means right now we are in the 7th day where everything has happened. So we don't know whether the creation will continue by God further as per that, but there is a very interesting sequence of things in Bible, and they said this has a lot of scientific evidence. So a lot of people collected and said whatever is there in Bible, I think the sequence was already properly mentioned, and So since this complex creation cannot happen by itself, by chance, all by itself, by just natural selection, somebody had to guide it. So this creation is more a creation and not mindless automatic evolution, as the scientists say. So this is the controversy, right? So here we have two things. Creationism here means that anything that is done, whatever the current state of the universe is, there is some intelligent principle behind, which we call it God, or we call it whatever, but there is an external agency which is guiding the growth of, which brought the state of the universe to what we see today. That is creationism. Whereas evolutionism is everything is self-made, everything happened on its own. So there is nothing external, it is an internal evolution. So is this right or is that right? That is the biggest controversy that we had seen. Of course, some of the Christian people have taken like that 1960 case in Kansas court that I have mentioned. They've actually said that you have to take Bible literally. 6 days means a normal 24-hour 6 days. And in somewhere in the Bible, they said Earth started, or God did all this in 4,000 years back. Before that, there was a flood, and after the flood, all that, everything that we see evolved. So they call it young Earth creatism. That means Earth is only 4,000 years old. So initially, creationism was very strong like that, but slowly, I mean, Jewish and Islamic versions are a little bit more liberal. They say while God created it, and more or less the sequence is what is there in the Bible, but the days and the methods and all are slightly different. But most of them still believe that there is an external God, and as external God who is separate from the creation, who created the creation. So this is the argument of the creationism. And they always talk about this, the strongest evidence is that the complexity of the universe today. If you look at the universe, right from Big Bang, the chance of the atoms forming, the chance of molecules forming, the chance of suns and the planets forming exactly in the manner they have formed, the way the universe expanded, everything looked a perfect balance. If any of the natural natural constants, universal constants have been a little bit off than what they are, then the world wouldn't have happened. So this world is full of lot of specific things. So the design is highly intelligent, highly complex, and therefore some people say, see, this much of complexity means that there's intelligent design. And obviously the intelligence, the more it is, the creators always say, yeah, this is God's work. Correct? So until then, everything is fine. So we can agree that this is God's work. But the problem is when you want to explain what we call the hard problem. What is consciousness? How did it come? Now, here, most of the scientists say consciousness has evolved from the matter. Once the human form developed, the brain developed, all throughout the animal thing, what consciousness was developing, and in human form, the consciousness developed completely. And therefore, consciousness is a result of brain development. That means the matter development. Whereas creationists say that no, consciousness is the gift of God. And they say it is God who has given this gift to only some very few species in the earth. And of course, he has made man completely in his image. And the idea of all this is that God wanted man to know that he's there. He is given conscience to know God. So all this is because man had to know God. So that is the purpose. Whereas they say evolutionists cannot say what is the purpose of creation, or the universe has purposeless is what the thing is. So they don't want to take this state. So if this is the thing, let us look at what is, let's also talk about Hinduism. There is a small difference in the way other religions treat evolution and creation, and Hinduism looks at it. So our Puranas talk about Vishnu is all-pervading consciousness. And it is from this consciousness everything mattered. And in the last talk, we have already discussed in the matter talk, we have seen that matter is nothing but energy, and everything is come out of consciousness. So consciousness is what is depicted in evolved into all the subtle energy, and subtle energy developed into the material energy. And in order to talk about it, they say this was allegorically told in Puranas that God first became in Matsya, the water life form. Kurma, it's a life form in water and land. Varaha is the land form. And Narasimha is the pre-human form, and Vamana is the human form. So this is the typical way of Hindu Puranas, and there are a lot of similarities between what the Bible said, the 7 days, and what Islam said, the 7 days are days of God. To some of the Puranas also say that, every time there's a cycle that happens, there is a flood, and after the flood, the first human is Manu, and God will give this human the knowledge to go ahead. So this is the story that we all know, the story of Matsyavatara and the King Manu, and how the Manu's evolution, man's evolution began with Manu, but that's still a creation, because everything came together after the flood. So, however, there's a difference between Vedanta, what this is told. Of the Hinduism also, they also talk about awareness in Vishnu's avatars has been increasing. The consciousness of by the qualities that Vishnu had taken. The later avatars are supposed to be complete avatars, whereas the previous avatars are not so complete, because some of the qualities, the highest human qualities, haven't developed. So this is another aspect of the creation being shown in the Hindu scriptures as well. But the main problem comes when consciousness had to be explained. See, the consciousness is all said and done. Now, the modern science, including the quantum physics, is at a stage where it can't explain consciousness. And evolution of species is all fine, but human consciousness, whether it has developed from something primitive, is still a lot of debate, because you can always say something came out of nothing because of energy, which is invisible, or matter, which is invisible matter, dark matter or energy. But consciousness so clearly becoming a first person experience is unexplained by any of the evolutions. So the best the scientists can say is that consciousness is a neural phenomenon. Of course, the creatures, it's just a gift of God, so you cannot compare it with the world. But that is the major contention in all these theories. But lately, now, a lot of even quantum physicists are agreeing that the way we are looking at consciousness is probably wrong. So whatever we are looking at is a dualistic fashion. We are looking at an object and I trying to form a subjective perspective from the object, but reality cannot be understood in this divisible fashion. And a lot of research in quantum physics also agrees with Vedanta in this manner, that whatever we see, the reality can only be explained when there is an observer. The reality is there when is in a definite shape only when there's a conscious observer. So when the conscious observer is not there, we cannot say about what is there really in that. There's a famous quote that if a tree falls in a jungle and if nobody sees it, did it fall or not fall? So this is the dilemma, because who is the conscious observer? So some people have said there is a consciousness everywhere else, and therefore there's a network of consciousness or a field of consciousness which is enabling the reality to be there, which is not yet developed. But that's the idea that we are looking at. So what is real? Is consciousness the only reality, or matter is reality and the consciousness developed as a part of it? So that's the final crux that we are trying to look at in this thing. So let's go to what Vedanta in general is talking about. That from the beginning, Vedanta has been saying that everything is one Brahman, and Brahman is loosely, if you take it as consciousness, if you look at existence and consciousness, it very clearly says whatever we are seeing is imagination. Now, what is imagination? There is a lot of possibilities in the mind, but what we concretize with our thought, that is imagination. So the one of the quotes from Meher Baba is that everything that we are seeing, if this whole creation has its beginning in consciousness and ends in consciousness, that is, everything is, all the creation is from the consciousness, and when consciousness withdraws, there is no more creation. So, which is with a personal point of view, we can agree. When we are awake, there is a world. When we sleep, there is no world for us. Similarly, the entire world is God's imagination, and when God stops imagining or dreaming, then there is no more the world. However, in God's imagination, there is a specific reasoning of how the matters evolved, how the consciousness went through the several layers of thing. For example, before the consciousness exploded into matter, there was a energy states. After the energy states, there were very minor matter states, and finally there's solid states. And from there, all the evolution that we see in Vishnu Purana, the stone becoming plant becoming animals of different kinds. All this is material evolution, but with one difference. What appears as material evolution is actually guided by consciousness. So if you look at it, is consciousness which is guiding this, knowing that it is only consciousness that is. So it is the imagination of consciousness. In consciousness, it creates this for itself. And out of what? Out of consciousness itself. So consciousness kind of splits into the creative part and the observing part. So the observing part is changing, is constantly observing the creation part of it, which Brahman himself going through all these forms. And this will end when there's an involution. Involution is when the consciousness is recognizing the error that there is nothing other than itself in a gradual reverse form. So then there is an end of consciousness. So this is the thing in Vedanta. Of course, this is very well talked about by Prabhuji in several places. But this is what modern science or quantum mechanics is trying to verify. There are a lot of things about reality being entangled all at once, and it being coming out with a a sequence of things, appearing as sequence of things, but everything is possible. So in fact, this whole thing shows that probably the intelligent design is also right, creationism is also right, and evolution is also right. But each one of it, we were only looking at each of them in a partial manner and trying to not put them to put all of them together. So what I feel is evolution and creation both are explainable only in consciousness if we understand the role of consciousness and how it is developing into everything. So that's the talk. Hari Om. So, Prabhuji.
Yeah, sir. Sure. Wonderful. Creation versus evolution. So, of course, in Purana, it's not about 7 days creation. Purana, there's creation of the universe at different levels. What we call as at the subtle level, at the causal level, and at the gross level. There's a process of creation. It's not about 7 days, and this 7-day concept has distorted human understanding of life. This 7 days, who's 7 day? Okay, if was there 7 days before creation, or is it 7 days of God, which we are speaking of? How is 7 days possible before creation itself? That question we don't know. Yes. Second thing is that 7-day concept in Bible and Quran, they come from the same source. So there's not two independent sources. The independent source is one, I'd say that Bible, Quran, probably yes. Then Purana and Vedanta. There are 3 independent sources. Bible and Quran are not independent. They are dependent on each other. In that sense.
Yes, correct.
So now the question comes, the whole question is coming creation and involution, what you call evolution of consciousness. Can you remove that this thing slide? You can
You
can just stop. Yeah. So creation or evolution comes assuming that there's a creation. So Vedanta comes to a conclusion there is no creation at all. So the question itself is an invalid question.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one what you call Ajativada of Vedanta. Correct. There's nothing called creation at all. What question you are asking?
Yes.
So there's a question. There's no creation, but there's a perception. That's one view for Vedanta. Perception is there, but perception is not creation.
Yes.
That's called Ajativada. Correct. So then another view is there in scientific field, what is called determinism. Determinism means, see, the theory of Darwin theory is like evolution is happening, progressively evolution happening. Determinism is another viewpoint where whatever has to happen is already happened. So, okay, there is it's like there's nothing called evolution. It's already there. Yes. Whatever has to happen at the Big Bang time, everything what has to happen has happened already.
Yes.
So then, coming back to question of time and space, the unreality of time reality, time is unreal, the space is unreal. That's what scientists say now. So all this question of creation versus evolution and all these things are valid when we take time or space as real. The latest Nobel Prize goes to people who say that time and space both are unreal in that sense.
Yes.
So then neither we can't even speak of creation or evolution.
Correct.
Which comes to brings to the question of Vedanta, no creation. There's no creation at all. It's only perception is there.
Yeah.
So then another viewpoint is there, which actually I hold that viewpoint, is that the universe is at the quantum level, at the fundamental level, an electron can be any place with a probability. That means everything which is possible is already there at the quantum level, the time and space. It's only how you look at that point. The observer will collapse into a function. So there's actually perception, which is actually creation. Not there is no creation. Perception is a creation. And whatever has to happen, whatever is all infinite possibilities are already there. Just perception, make it appear as a creation. This is what in Vedanta, there are three philosophies. What we call as Srashti, Drashti, Srashti. The creation is there, I am seeing it. That means creation is a function of time. Then second vada is there, Srashti, Drishti. Creation is there because I am seeing it. I am participating in creation. And Ajativada, there is no creation. So I would take the view that Ajativada is there. This question of creation versus evolution is not sustainable from Vedanta point of view or quantum physics point of view. I may be wrong, but this is my view.
Yeah. So the creation and Ajativada is one. The other one that we are really looking at is how do we explain, even if it is in perception, the sequence of perception. For example, the
sequence of perception is
seemingly evaluating perception.
Yeah. So the seemingly evaluating perception we can explain. See, I would like to take the universe as a book. Okay. Or quantum level is a book. All infinite possibilities are already there. This book has completely Mahabharata is there, story is there. So now the question is which page I will refer. So that will take me through one sequence. Then it will go to next page with sequence. I am going to sequentially the creation. So that's where you can find all the fossils. You can find fossil evidence, and you can find evolution has happened. So you can see that because it's only the moment you take a perceptor view, so then you'll see perceive what is relevant to you.
So, but in that, what is happening is there is some guiding principle, like your one page after another page. Consciousness wants to see one page and then another page. So the sequence in that, how do we explain? So,
the sequence,
for example, some people look at the sequence as in order to really understand the deeper meaning of what is natural selection. There is a science that's coming up now which says quantum evolution, in which they try to say that DNA is also in a quantum state, and there is a guidance by the DNA, which is while it in whichever state it is always finding the next state, because the best state that it can do at that particular point of time, in that particular thing. So that is why the distribution, why there are some humans and something in this DNA is at this level, in plants the DNA is only at this level and it is choosing the next one. Like that, there is an internal quantum state in the original DNA, which is something similar to the string theory, that everything is in the string and it is the formation of the string that is taking a sequential state. And because different strings are at a different level, the diversity is appearing. This is one level of explanation.
I would say perception is 50. So the perception is dependent on the perceiver's state. not perception is happening, not perceived is depend on the perceiver state. So if I see the world from red glasses, the world will appear red. So the entire creation, what we call as creation or evolution, is nothing but perception, which depends on the perceiver's state. So now, who is a perceiver? A conscious agent is a perceiver. I and you and all of us, whoever is there, a conscious agent. So depending on conscious agent state, I'll perceive certain things and it'll exclude certain quantum states. So those states will open up. So I would not even bring DNA there because the DNA is one element. The science has to fit in DNA somewhere or evolution somewhere. I'm saying everything is a quantum only. Whatever we are experiencing right now is quantum state only, including your body, mind, and the whole universe is nothing but quantum state only. And we are able to perceive only what we are with the filter of our identity. I don't know what I'm making sense, but
I know, it makes sense. But it is intriguing. So the reason I've taken this topic is because it gives a little, it is something worth considering. So Pranav,
I would say the perception depends on the perceiver. The moment you bring in DNA, it becomes an object.
Yes.
Okay, I'm saying the perception is the perceiver's, it's the perceiver who is affecting the perception.
Yes.
Any object is, DNA is for me is an object.
Yes.
Okay, everything is object. Now, object is also consciousness. But then what's happening is the perceiver is shifting from one state to other state. And that is collapsing the quantum states. And we see either evolution or devolution tomorrow, creation tomorrow, Big Bang, all those things we are seeing. Because the perceiver is shifting its states.
Yeah.
So perceiver is a pure perceiver observer, the Sakshi, the witness, or perceiver is an involved witness. So the involved witness is causing this whole mess.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's a pure witness, so the whole creation will come down, it will come to
tension.
Huh?
Yeah, it will come to a rest.
It will come to rest. So the perceiver is getting involved in the creation. In the sense, it's more of an interactive perception. I see something, like for example, I see a rope on the snake, a snake on the rope, then I get afraid, then I'll take some action. It's like that, it's like ping pong, or it's like a shuttlecock is happening. I don't know, making sense, but I'm saying that perceiver is affecting perception and perception is affecting the perceiver.
Yeah.
So, and this is actually taking us through infinite quantum possibilities in a step-by-step way. Whatever has to happen is happened already there. It's just that we are transversing through the different pages of a book.
Correct.
I don't know whether it makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what does our scientist say?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to understand from him. Waiting for him to.
Yes, Pranav, save us from this mess. Sravan has created a whole lot of complications. So I don't understand this whole thing at all.
I want clear definitions.
You want clear definitions? Okay.
I don't know what question you are asking. So I mean, I don't know what to explain.
If the question is understood, the answer is very simple.
So do you agree with the Darwin's theory of evolution?
I don't know Darwin's theory properly.
Oh, okay. So you have put a disclaimer there already.
The only thing I know is a little bit of physics that I do.
Okay. So whole universe creation started from Big Bang, right? The universe is continuously.
It's a theory. So
it's a theory.
If you ask, if you people who work in these fields, they have come up with so many different models that are not even Big Bang. So I don't know. But the most widely accepted fact is that there was something called as a Big Bang. Yes.
Okay. So from Big Bang onwards, so Big Bang, at the time of Big Bang, was there a particular design by which universe evolved, or universe was created, or it's just random selections which have led to this today? What we are seeing. There's an order here. There's an order in the universe where there's a chaos. There should have been chaos. I don't know that the law of thermodynamics, right? What is it?
Thermodynamics, yeah.
what they called given entropy will keep on increasing, right? Chaos will keep on increasing. But I'm seeing order there. So order and chaos seems to coexist in the universe, right? So the moment you say order, there must be intelligence far beyond a matter. So is that working?
So for me, the concept of order and chaos, is kind of like different. For example, so anything that you can write down as a theory or as an equation is essentially you're trying to find a sequence.
Correct.
So you're finding an order in that system, right? And anything you can't explain, anything that you can't think of, you say, I'm not able to understand this, and you say it is chaos. Sorry?
It's a probability, not chaos.
No, so it's not so even with probabilities, like there is an order in it, in the sense that you are able to say what probabilities, what outcome there is.
Okay.
So in that sense, so quantum mechanics is supposed to be a purely probabilistic theory. This is one of the main reasons why initially scientists weren't able to grasp the fact. It goes exactly against determinism, because in determinism there is an order, and let's say you throw a ball, you know exactly where the ball falls if you take into account the sufficient physics of it. That is exactly opposite of what happens in a quantum system, in the sense that you end up with pure probabilities in the end. So in that way, quantum mechanics is super probabilistic. So
still you're saying it's modeling the universe not as chaos, but as a mathematical model, predictable model.
The thing, yes, exactly. The thing is, you can still model it. There is a full there's a full theory of quantum mechanics. Now, how people interpret it is something different, because their physicists stop working, because it's just an interpretation. It's like saying, let's say we know that Earth goes around the sun. Now you can say it's because of gravity. Another person will say it is because I tied an invisible string that has all concepts of gravity, but I can't detect that string. Both explanations are true. Somebody will say it's an invisible string. Somebody will say, no, it's not an invisible string, it's an invisible chain. And the only way, and you can never probe these things, and it behaves exactly the same as gravity. If I bring up this theory also, it's an equally valid interpretation. Now, what interpretation you want to choose is up to you. Similarly, for quantum mechanics as well, there are many interpretations. One interpretation is this Copenhagen interpretation that you guys were mentioning, where there's an observer and there's an observed, and both of these are together. There's another interpretation called many worlds interpretation. I don't want to go into the details, but there are many kinds of these interpretations. But what we understand is what we see in experiments and what we have built a theory about it. So this is all that a physicist can say.
Okay, good.
Guruji, I'm muted.
Can you hear me? Yes, Pranav,
yes.
you cannot, you're a scientist, you have to take a stand. This is right or that's wrong. You cannot be fluid.
My stand is science. My stand is science will keep changing, and I go with the change.
That's very, very politically saying science. Political way of putting scientific theory. Remove the politics and say, take a stand.
Yeah, makes sense.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions from anyone else? Or observations?
Okay, I take a stand. There's no creation, there's no evolution. There's only perception.
So Pranav says that's your perception.
No.
Perfectly valid as far as you're concerned. So since he doesn't know, he says, for me, my perception.
See, let me complete it,
I
right?
can take my standpoint, but I'm not standing up for science.
So what he says is, each one take your own perception. No need for any
No.
comparison.
I'll let me complete my statement. Okay, it's like a theorem, right? There's no creation, there's no evolution. There's only perception. Everything is a conception. Okay.
No, by whom?
Whoever is asking the question will make a statement, right? There are guys, there are 7 billion guys here. They're not even bothered about creation or result. So there's no conception for them. Now it's only we are struggling with the 3 people here struggling. Pranav and Sravan and Prabhuji. Yes, Pranav. Yes.
You want to know my stand, or you want to know? Yeah, my stand is, my stand is that you see a set of things, you try to understand a set of things, but and that is how you have a concept. So everything for me is finally just a concept in your mind. What an electron is, what a computer is, for example. It's a set of concepts in my mind, and that is what you can call creation, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
It's a set of concepts, and it's a set of evolving concepts. It keeps changing, and that is the evolution part of it.
Okay.
So evolution and creation are happening simultaneously. A concept comes, a concept evolves. A concept comes, a concept evolves. A concept comes, a concept evolves. And it's all happening in some place.
Is there anything called objective reality for you?
How are you defining reality?
So whatever you call as concept, there's nothing,
Yes.
no objectivity to that, right?
There is no object. So every concept is an objective statement
Of the person who has conceptualized it.
Yes, of the person who's conceptualized it, but about what, if you ask, I won't be able to say.
Okay, there's no objective reality in that sense.
Yes, there's no objective reality in that sense.
That means
It's
there's
a
no
set of statements that I've made.
So that means conclusively it proves that science, there's nothing called science.
There's nothing called science. Yes, sure.
Huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you say there is not, if you say there is nothing, then there is nothing.
The science is about objective reality, right?
So my question is, what exactly is again reality? Is it a true? Is it a statement that you consider true? Is it a true thing? So if it is something true, so I put an algorithm here. So what is reality means something that is truth, means something that doesn't change at all. Is it a true statement? So I'm putting it in terms of mathematics.
Reality for me, what doesn't change?
What doesn't change? Right.
That's called reality.
So then any objective statement that you make, is it susceptible to a change?
Correct.
So that is the next question. If it is susceptible to a change, then it is not reality.
Correct. That's a concept.
Yes. So in that sense, then there is nothing that is real.
So evolution, creation, nothing is real. Then what to do?
Okay. Even science is not real. Scientist is not real.
What to do? Where are we?
Okay, good.
Okay, wonderful discussion. Thanks, Pranav. You want to add something or take out something? It doesn't matter.
No, I just wanted to say, like, I guess as long as we have these kind statements of what reality is, like, so everything is in search of some truth about something. So science is behind some truth, religion is behind some truth, some other people are behind some other truths. They're essentially running behind something that is constant, something that cannot change, and finally they will all hope that they'll all end up in some place finally where it doesn't change, where something doesn't change at all.
That's possible when you are alive.
What is alive?
When we are alive, it's possible to end up in a place where nothing changes.
Question, the definition is then the question comes up, what is we? What is alive? This is how you dig deeper and deeper, trying to get that, trying to get into that constant place.
Yeah.
So that is a position of an eternal jignasi.
Okay. So wonderful, Pranav. Wonderful, Sravan. You have taken a very harnessed nest. That's like whatever you put, it stings. And I don't know whether you'll get out of that question. Whatever question is there, you cannot find an answer.
Yes.
That's only here. Only the faith will answer. Okay, as per my book, this is right.
Yes.
Whatever you say is wrong.
As per science, something is right.
As per something is right.
As per religion, something is right.
As per religion, something is right. So we'll take a right and wrong viewpoint, which is based on our belief, which is again subjective.
Correct.
So it comes to perception again.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we have any more questions, or we can?
Anybody on Zoom session have any questions? Rajita, you must be having some questions. Vasu?
No problems, no questions. I'm still trying to grasp. Things are going over my head. Sixer and bouncer.
Okay. So Pobal and Radha or Sujaya, Rajita, any questions? Anu?
Prabhuji, Hari Om Prabhuji, no question, Prabhuji.
Okay.
So I'm in the view of what you said, because being in that field for studying Vedanta, so my concept of science and everything is gone. So I truly believe in whatever you said is Drishti, Shishti, Shishti, Drishti, and Ajatabada. So all this perception and all this is there. So I take a stand like you only, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, we have two people voting.
Prabhuji, I'm very proud of my Sravanji in my Kapila group.
Okay, very good.
I was sitting in my science class today.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
So I was enjoying my science class in my school.
Very good.
So I congratulate my Sravanji.
Okay, wonderful, Sravan.
Thank you.
So finally, you decided it's creation or evolution, Radha?
I'm still in the class. Confused.
Oh, you're still in the class. You have to take a stand.
I'll have to take another interview with our Sravanji next class.
Okay.
Very good.
Very nice, Prabhuji. Very nice.
Say creation, another person will say evolution. Okay, there's a parties. Stand.
Yes,
You have to form stand.
Prabhuji, this is like I throw the muck, it comes back onto me. So no, I asked the question. Now I only have to answer that.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Anu? Yes, Sujaya, madam. Vedanta is safe. Vedanta is safe. Ajativada is safe. Yes, Rajita.
Namaste, Guruji.
Left hand.
So, finally, after hearing Pranav's and yours theory, so how should I perceive the science concept? Like Pranav says, it depends on our view. So, like as you said, who is we? Who is I? So if you go on thinking like that, so where is the end to that?
Be very careful, okay? If you pursue this, your scientific career will end. Then philosopher career will start.
Correct,
If you really pursue truth, then it's the dead end of science. So
you should not go in depth, no, right, Guruji?
Okay. You don't go up to the truth. Go near the truth. Give a concept of the truth and have a science. The moment you go to truth, then science is gone, philosophy is gone, everything is gone. Only spirituality remains. Only Advaita remains. But there's no perception, there's no question, there's no answer, nothing.
Correct.
So be careful. Truth is very dangerous, okay?
Okay, Guruji.
See,
It was
when
nice.
you seek truth, no. See, Buddha wanted to seek truth. He was an emperor. He left his family, he left his children, went to the forest. So he has to sacrifice his career as emperor. So that's why seeking the truth is a very dangerous business.
Okay.
Seek some concept, seek some falsehood, that's okay. But truth is very dangerous, okay?
Nice, Guruji.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good.
Thank you, Shravanji. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. So let's close this thing.
Okay.
Asatoma, Sadgamaya, Tamasoma, Jyotirgamaya, Mrutyurma, Amrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti.